Hey guys, it's been a bit of a while since I did a review video, so we're now going to try and get back into the spirit. And today we're going to start off looking at a fairly new kit from Kitty Hawk of their 1/48 scale Mig-25 PD and PDS. So let's open her up. Now, one thing you'll immediately see on this kit is just how big the aircraft is. I mean, just look at the size of the engine parts we have here, as well as the fan faces. I mean, it's a big aircraft, and the molding and just the engineering of this kit really allows that to really shine through. In terms of the molding, as far as panel lining, hopefully this will show up on camera, but it's all very finely done and engraved. Lots of little rivet marks as seen on the actual aircraft. Continuing on, arguably I have to say some of the biggest wheels I've ever seen on a 1/48 scale aircraft, as these are just absolutely huge. Excuse me. One immediate issue, though, I did see immediately on this kit is the landing gear bays. As you can see, a couple parts here and a lot of the rest here is that they have this, essentially unassembled style, which is very difficult to put together. If the one of the only other kits I've seen do this is the 1/48 scale Tomcat kit from Hasegawa. As yeah, that's just really bad way to do a landing gear bays. It's just an absolute pain to try to get everything to line up and fit right. Continuing on here, we have the front office, two different control panels options. One I believe is for if you're using the photo etch, and one if you're using just the kit part. We also have a full radar dish, which is a nice little addition, though I think a lot of people probably won't use it. But that actually works out a little in your favor, as this kit's definitely a tail sitter. Here we have the very large fuel tank, as well as the wings. Try to open this up as much as possible. Interesting thing they did here on the wing halves is that they included all of this internal bits. I'm not sure if this was done for structural support, or if that's how it actually is on the internals of the aircraft. If it's internals, then I think that's an interesting inclusion, as it does allow for potential diorama and of damaged aircraft. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to include. Again, another thing that shows just how big this thing's going to be is the air inlets. Nice and huge there. Next up, we've got the cockpit parts, as well as the exhaust bits, and as well as the landing gears. Now, one thing to note on the landing gear is that they actually include metal rods that you glue into the landing gear. Again, something I've never seen before. And personally, I think it's an interesting inclusion in that for particularly aircraft like this that are going to be very tail heavy, it's nice to have them included. What I don't like, however, is this ball weight they do include. Given the just the size and all that, I don't think this was a good way to go. Probably a bar weight or several smaller balls would have worked better. Next up, got all the various armament sprues. I'm not going to spend too much time, other than you do get a lot. In fact, I think you actually get more than you necessarily need to build, so you do have a nice bit of leftovers. Clear parts are all nicely done, fairly clear. A little on the thick side though, in particular the county part. A little bit of seam line down the middle, but that's an actual bar there, so it's not noticeable. And last but not least, we have our two main fuselage halves. Now, these are a little on the tricky side to try to get lined up. Again, you may want to add some plastic art in there to help, with the alignment. And I'm sure after you add the engine parts, that'll help some with the alignment as well. Continuing on, take a look at the decal sheet includes. I can get this out of the plastic. You're given decals for 3 schemes, one Iraqi, one Ukrainian, and one Soviet. Otherwise, they're fairly straightforward. And last but not least is our photo etch sprue. Not too much to really say about this, other than we get our instrument panels and whatnot. Though a little surprised they didn't include photo etch for the exhaust pedals, but oh well. Once I get this back in the bag, we will take a look at the instruction sheet. Now, I'll put these back. Now, much like earlier Kitty Hawk releases, we get the outer booklet parts of the booklet are full color, which I do like. It gives you a good idea of what the aircraft is. Right off the bat, we've got the Soviet paint scheme, which obviously a lot of people will probably do. Continuing on into the meat of the assembly, probably the most complicated part I would say is here up in the front office, and as well as the main gear, as you can see here, as there's just a lot of little bits going on. But other than that, why it may seem daunting as there are a fair number of steps, it's actually a pretty straightforward build. Kitty Hawk did a very good job in the engineering of this kit, as it's surprisingly simplified, and actually would not be that difficult for someone with fairly lower end of the skill set tree. Excuse me. Basically, it's a kit that would be good for someone who's not a beginner, as it's still a little bit much for them, but definitely someone who's ready to take the next step in something more advanced. One odd part I do find is the pitot tube here on the nose. I'm surprised they didn't do this in photo etch, is just given the small size, this would have been definitely a better way to go instead of the plastic kit parts. But other than that, as I said, it's surprisingly straightforward. Here in the back we have our Ukrainian scheme as well as our Iraqi scheme. So what do I think about this kit? It's, a lot of people I know were looking forward to this kit, as other than this one, I think the only other kit out there is one by Revell, which is really old. I would say, if I recall correctly, from the 80s. So getting this, was definitely a nice bit of fresh air for the particular subject matter, and I think Kitty Hawk knocked it out of the park with this. They've given us a really good, solid kit. It's one that I would say it definitely appeals to more experienced modelers who can definitely take what the kit gives and run very easily, and it's still fairly easy enough for a more advanced modeler, albeit not an expert modeler, be able to have a good time and build something up really well. So yeah, I really do hope Kitty Hawk keeps putting out kits of this caliber, as they've done a phenomenal job with it. So yeah, that was a look at Kitty Hawk's 1/48 scale Mig-25 PD and PDS Foxbat kit. Again, I apologize for not posting videos for so long. Obviously, I'll discuss why that was in a separate vlog. Till next time, enjoy your modeling.